Give YouTube a few minutes to actually, few moments to actually start streaming. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I guess we're live. I can assume we're live at this point. Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in and joining me this fine Saturday morning. My name's Jason. You're watching Redfish, Bluefish. We'll give it a couple of minutes for some people to pile in. We don't have a super long show or anything like that to do this time. All right, it looks like I'm finally getting my own feed on my computer I have set up here. Morning, Dragon Lair. I just saw you pop up in chat. Daryl Deemer, what's going on, buddy? Guys, we're just going to kind of do a... Well, you saw the title of the stream, right? Lazy Fish Nerd stream. This is definitely a Lazy Fish Nerd stream. Hey, Leah Joan Jet, what's going on? MFG, Monster Fish Gal, how's it going? John Ebson, what's up, neighbor? My neighbor from the neighboring island, in fact. John's just across the water from me, right out that way. Wow, it's pretty amazing. I'm streaming from the phone and watching on the computer. I'm actually streaming from the YouTube app this time, directly from it. And you can tell there's no intro, outro, any of that going on. But I might have 2 seconds of latency right now. That is incredible. That is pretty slick. Yeah, like whatever I say, I'm seeing 2 seconds later on my computer. I've never had performance that good. Interesting. Dragon Lair is the lazy fish nerd. Well, I think that we all have an inner lazy fish nerd. I think that, you know, if you're not doing things lazy, okay, let me back up. Lazy is not necessarily wrong, right? So if you're doing the right thing, you're getting the right results in the end, but you're doing it the lazy way, right there. That's kind of what this stream is about, guys. And we're going to keep it light, probably keep it shortish. Hey, we got Laura Sutton in here. We got Natural Aquariums. Charlie Bright. What's going on, Mr. Bright? So good to see all you guys here. We'll give it a couple minutes more. Looks like we have 11 watching now. And wow, 11 likes. That is awesome, guys. Thanks so much. Yeah, I was pushing it right to the limit in terms of scheduling, getting to the shop, getting this table set up. It's basically a little plastic portable table I just fold out for my live streams, and when I'm done it folds up and makes a little teeny tiny rectangle and it goes back into the storage. So yeah, so anyway guys, like the title of this live stream says, I wanted to talk, actually I'll talk a little bit and I'll show you at least 1 or 2 things that I use here in the shop, super MacGyver DIY stuff to help my day go easier, much easier. And it's not like groundbreaking, oh my God, he's a genius, he works with PVC pipe. No, it's not meant to ooh or to ah or wow or anything, but it's really meant, I'll go first, and I'd like you guys to jump in chat, please participate in chat heavily this time and share with everybody, myself included, please, your secret DIY stuff that you use in your fish room. Maybe you have a fish store, who knows? I have no idea who's watching. If you're not chatting, I don't see you. But if you do jump into chat, please let me know what you use, any kind of DIY stuff you put together. Maybe it's not something that you put together. Maybe it's just some conventional stuff that everybody uses in a fish room and you just use it in a slightly different way, which is basically what I'm doing here. And we will be starting the show in a minute. Looks like we have Patty's Petite Tanks in here. Hey, what's going on? Patty says, my computer stinks. I really need a new one. I'm sorry to hear that. My computers are awesome. Up until recently, my vehicle is the thing that was really stinking. But, you know, I got some good news on that front. We got our wheels back, and they are finally fixed after basically a month of being just down and out. Yeah, we got it fixed, we got it repaired, we've got it back, and boy, was it expensive. I'll round up a little bit, but parts and labor came to $3,300 to get that thing rolling again. Yeah, it was the powertrain control module, the PCM, the computer, quote unquote, that was history. Unfortunately, Dodges, Chryslers, Jeeps especially, they they have that problem. To hear some very, very wise car people tell me about it. I've heard it more than once. Like, oh, what is it? You lost your computer? What is it? Oh, it's a Dodge. And then they like rolled their eyes like, oh, shocking. A Dodge lost its computer. Of course, I was like, well, what are you talking about? Is that a thing with Dodge? And they're like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, for sure. They are known to have some issues. Anyway, so guys, first things first, I'll show you one thing that I use here in the shop. Now, before I show you the thing I want to show you, hey, Pepplin Creek Aquatics, what's going on, buddy? Saw you popped up. You're not going to weasel your way out of a mention. And Fish Tropic, what's up, Tropico? Sandy Dowdy, nice. So I'm going to go first, guys. I'll show you something that I just slapped together in my garage, and it cost me about, I don't know, a couple bucks to make. No, more than that, maybe 10 bucks, because I had to order a part off of the hated Amazon. I do not like Amazon at all. I'm not a fan of them. But it cost me, I don't know, maybe 10 bucks to slap it together. Now, before I show it to you, a little disclaimer why I have this device and why I use it. I do not drill any tanks, ever. If you drill your tanks, cool, whatever works for you. You do what works for you. I am not into drilling tanks. No. You're definitely increasing the likelihood that you're going to have a problem with that aquarium when you drill it. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna have one. I'm not saying that. A lot of people drill a lot of tanks very successfully. I get it, that's cool, that's kind of their decision. We made the decision not to drill any aquariums in here at all, simply because the space is not appropriate for an auto water change system. There's really no good way, or any way really, to route pipes to breach the shell of the suite. This is a very old historic farm. It was built in 1904. And as you might guess, they're a little nervous about punching holes in walls and that sort of thing. Not cool, not cool at all. So with that said, it really didn't bother me that much because I'm not one for drilling tanks anyway. Like I said, if you do, that's cool. Do you, man, you do you. But, let me just read a comment here. Aquaman, installing a drop ceiling in your fish room. Installing drop ceilings sucks. Yes, that is why there are companies that specialize pretty much only in installing drop ceilings, because it is very difficult. It is very unpleasant to do. Hey, we got a comment here from Dragon Lair. Got some Avatar Turkey Green Angels from Aquatic Arts and got them for 30% off sale, so you can stop worrying about finding them for me. Okay, cool. No problem. Okay, so I am going to get into one of the things that I use. And it's something that I bought, you know, the parts at Ace Hardware, and it looks silly, but man, let me tell you, it has saved me tons of effort. Here we go. So here we have our flexible tubing. This is for water changes, right? This is actually a pretty long length. It'll go well beyond that door. And you can see that it attaches to a massive, basically massive industrial squeeze bulb. Now, I did order this squeeze bulb off of Amazon.com. Shame on me. It does come with these. It does come with these clamps. You get one there and you get one here. That does come with the squeeze bulb, but this squeeze bulb is basically sold on Amazon.com as being really for industrial use purposes. Basically, it's made out of a rubber and a plastic that's resistant to being broken down and damaged by petrochemicals like oil and diesel. In fact, that's what these are actually sold for new out of the box. Diesel, oil siphoning, anything for a mechanic shop. You know, you find yourself in a pinch, your pump breaks, you got to get oil or diesel out of something. These will do it, and they're actually pretty resistant to breaking down right away because, you know, petrochemicals and stuff like that's pretty rough on rubber and plastic. So, we've got this attached to this, and this is something I put together in my garage. I measured it out on purpose. It's got this ridiculous piece of net, old net, rubber banded to it. Let me see if I can show you how it's attached. It's attached with just a big rubber band, see? And it's got tons and tons of excess. Well, this is for water changes, right? So this PVC pipe, let me lay it down. This piece here, I measured out proper length so that when you put it, for instance, this is a 15 gallon, right? Or you put it in one of these 20 longs, it's measured out to where it comes down right at halfway, exactly at halfway. So if you put it in here and you start the siphon and you walk away, you know, the siphon's going out through there. It's going into the plants outside. They love the fish waste in the water. You know, if you walk away and let it rock, it's gonna pull 50% of the water out of there without you watching it. Now, that's obviously a lot more than you normally want, but I wanted the link there for the option in case, you know, you figure usually at most when you're doing a water change, anything more than 50%, you're gonna start stressing your fish out. It's kind of a major water change, right? So that's why it's measured out to that length. Now let me go back and show you this ridiculous piece of fabric that's like totally hokey looking, but we're about what works. I mean, this is not a fashion show. I don't care if it looks stupid or not. I want functionality and I want speed. Okay, so this is so that obviously we don't suck up little fish, right? But the problem with this is when this siphon is ripping, right? When it's ripping, any little fish that swims too close to this is gonna get sucked up against this and killed. Absolutely, they can't get away from it. The siphon is too strong. So that's what all this excess is. You just drop this in your tank, make sure the excess is hanging down, give that one squeeze, pow, that siphon starts, and all of this excess kind of sucks up again, not against it, but it kind of closes like that. Kind of closes like, geez, sorry for the terrible camera work. It closes like kind of like this, and at that point the fish cannot get close enough to this little intake to get sucked up against it. So it's just, this is only for taking water out, not in. So it's super easy. After you do an aquarium, right? You do an aquarium with this. Let's say we do this aquarium, right? I usually go in a line, boom, 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 and then I drop down, boom, 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 boom. All you gotta do is when you finish with this aquarium, right before you move to that one, you just gotta put this upside down in a bucket of sterilizer. And I use a very powerful sterilizer. It takes about 30 seconds, and everything on this and in it is toast. So you just do that, you move it to the next tank, the next tank, next tank. So this is one of the, again, totally stupid and ridiculous looking things that I made. Yes, it's goober looking, for sure. This is one of the things that I made. And I'll show you, like I said, obviously this hose there is more than long enough to reach over there and to run out the back door. Well, I sized it so that I can do this. Actually, it's pretty tight. You gotta pop the seal where this kind of snugs onto the PVC. You gotta kind of pop it out a little bit, and then it'll pull out, but it's pretty darn tight. So what I did is I sized the pipe, and I sized everything that the pipe would connect to. Basically, I sized everything so that I can do this, and this is super lazy. Boom. See that? This is a El Craparino, Aquion, you know, whatever. It's not fancy. It's not a high-speed, low-drag gravel vac. But look at this. It snugs right on, super tight. So now what I can do, without drilling a single tank, I can change water, right? And basically, once you get this thing started on one of those top tanks, we can pull about, I don't know, 15% of water out of that aquarium in about 4 minutes, 5 maybe? 4 minutes is more like. So it's pretty fast siphon. And then what we can do is we can remove it and just put one of these little attachments on here. Once again, put it in water, squeeze, squeeze, and now you're gravel vacuuming big time through the same pipe that automatically goes out and dumps all of that water and all of that fish waste directly on plants for you. So, you know, no buckets, no nonsense. So guys, that is, let me set my camera up, I'm sorry. There we go. That is one of the things that, one of the ridiculous looking DIY things that I use here in the shop. And, you know, call me a moron. I know it looks stupid with the little net hanging down and the little squeeze bulb. It's like, wow, what crackhead put this together? You know what? That thing works like a champ. It works like a champ, and I don't care if it looks ridiculous. So jump in chat if you would, guys, before I go in there and I start looking. Tell me what you guys use, little DIY trick. It doesn't have to be something that you built. It can just be something that was not even built for aquariums at all. It's just something that you got and you've repurposed it. Share with us in chat, guys, because a lot of people, you know, can get very, very, very creative when it comes to, you know, if it takes you 4 hours or 6 hours or something to manually change your water the way you've been doing it, and you only have, I don't know, 10, 15 aquariums, you're doing it wrong. That's too long. You should be able to, you know, do it quicker than that. So it's kind of the mother of necessity when we start running out of time here on that. Okay, I'm gonna jump into chat and see what I've missed so far. Natural Aquarium says, I used to use one of those for kerosene. Oh, the squeeze bulb? The little squeeze bulb siphon starter thing for kerosene, really? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Kerosene's one of those things that people have barrels of, you know, laying around for heating oil or, you know, heating purposes or whatever. Kerosene's often used on farms, tractors, a lot of things, a lot of industrial stuff actually runs on kerosene, believe it or not. I think even some RC, gas-powered or liquid fuel-powered radio control stuff might even run on kerosene. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to be totally wrong on that, and I'm going to get smacked down and corrected like only YouTube viewers can do. Natural Aquarium says, ever seen those videos of discus breeders doing 100% water changes with the poor fish flopping on the bottom of the tank? Yes, I have, and it's not good. Come on, we don't even need to go into that. Having a fish unnecessarily lay on its side, flopping around in that much of water, that's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, accidents happen, aquariums leak, sure, and you might walk in one day, I hope it never happens to you, you might walk in one day and find fish in that much water. I hope they're still alive, and I hope you can get them in water immediately, but doing that on purpose for the sake of, or under the auspices of, doing a water change, you're a craphead if you do that. You should not do that stuff. Don't do that. That's terrible stuff. Yes, Natural Aquariums, thank you for mentioning that. I have seen those videos, and I tend to see a shade of red. I don't like it one bit. I'm gonna scroll down. Those discus people are messed up in the head, says Stephen or Stefan P 2003. I'm not sure if it's Stephen or Stefan or Stefan or whatever, so I think it's Stephen, probably Stephen P 2003. Patty's Petite Tank says, I'd like to hear more about that sterilizer. Okay, we've talked about it. There's a couple different ones you can use. There's sodium dichloroisocyanurate, NADCC, right? That's very, very good. It's a very powerful sterilizer. It is basically sold in hardware stores as spa shock. You know, if you have a hot tub or a spa, you know, once in a while you got to shock it. The product is called Spa 56. So Spa space 56. So if you jump on Google, you do a Google search for Spa 56 made by whoever the heck makes it. That is NADCC. Now using that, we love using that instead of bleach. Why? I've said it probably 100 times here. We avoid bleach whenever we can because bleach has a very, very high pH. Very, very high. It's very alkaline. It's a base, okay? One of the features of bases is that they're sticky and slimy, like soap. Soap is a base. Anything that you might use to wash your hands, oh, this kind of soap and that kind of soap and Goo Gone and blah, 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 those are all highly alkaline bases. Now, they're not so alkaline that they're gonna make you start smoking like lye. That's crazy high alkaline. But soaps and bases especially, are very sticky. So if you've ever worked with bleach water, or pure bleach for that matter, you got your hands in some bleach water and you finish with it and you wash your hands afterwards, you rinse them off real well. You'll notice that they're still slimy. They still feel slimy. When you've already gotten the bleach water off, that's because bleach water sticks to things. Bleach sticks to things for sure. So when you use bleach to sterilize an aquarium or clean an aquarium or whatever you're doing with an aquarium, it requires you to rinse it at least several times to truly get all of that bleach out of there. NaDCC, or sodium dichloroisocyanurate, is pH neutral. It does not stick to things. So there's no rinsing necessary whatsoever. You drain it out of something, you fill it back with water, it's gone. You don't need to rinse it. So that's one of the sterilizers. Another one is potassium permanganate. That is a very, very powerful oxidizer. It's also pink and purple, so it'll stain you if you're not careful. That is another one that we use on it. It's also, if you ever buy that Jungle Net Soak, you ever see that stuff, guys? Jungle Net Soak. Comes out of it's liquid, it comes out of the bottle, real pink, purple. Same thing, it's potassium permanganate. It's just already in water, sterile water. That's a very, very, very good sterilizer. It doesn't work as quickly as NaDCC. NaDCC is pretty quick. In this 30, 45 seconds, it's gone. Anything that was on it is gone. So I hope that answers your question, Patty's Petite Tanks. Hey, we got Danikin Aquatics in here. What up, fish people? Okay. Yes, Leah Jet, if you want to get real fancy with your DIY siphon, you can make a shorter 25% water change length and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, absolutely I could. In fact, let me grab the camera and show you guys often what I'll do. Okay. On this silly thing. So you saw, this is the side I was saying I put in my 20s. And this is where the end of the, siphon goes, right? The siphon hose going out. Well, sometimes when I want to do a major water change on my planted tanks, and you guys know that high-tech planted tanks, aquascapes, that sort of thing, if you're pushing highlight, CO2, water column fertilization, all that, you had better be doing big water changes every week. Otherwise, boy howdy, you are going to get some algae problems. So I don't necessarily have to connect the hose to there. Sometimes I connect it to there. I just move this net down here and I connect the hose here. And this allows me to get really deep on my 75s and my big giant planted aquafarm tanks. So I have that option, that's kind of why, that's sort of why I made it that length. I wanted it about that length so I could do a 50% water change on my 20 longs, I should say, and my 15s. But I wanted it really long on that other end, so if I want to flip it around and use that to do a big water change on my planted tanks, which I do every single week without fail, and I recommend that you guys do too, I don't need a second hose, I just flip it around. So it works out pretty well. Stephen P. 2003 says, I use the Lee's cleaning claw as a siphon guard. That's a good idea, man. That's a good idea. Danikin says, nothing fancy here, man. We use several hoses for draining and 2 pythons for filling. That's fine, if it works for you. Hey, like I said at the beginning of the stream, whatever works for you. If you're doing something, if you're drilling your tanks like crazy, you double drilling them, whatever. If it works for you, cool. Doesn't work for me. That's some risk there that I'm not willing to accept. So jumping back into chat, guys. Natural Aquarium says, I siphon into a bucket usually, and then have a submersible pump on a remote to move the water out. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's kind of what I used to do at my house most of the time. Actually, instead of a bucket, I had a big trash can, a big 40-gallon trash can that I would, since I'm a plant nerd, basically every tank in here, every tank is filled with RO water. There's no water in here that hasn't gone through an RO unit. And I used to do that at the house too, just on a much smaller scale and much less space. So I used a brand new plastic trash can that I purchased at the hardware store, but the same concept, you know, run RO water into the trash can, remineralize it, and then turn on the little bilge pump that's in there on a hose. And yeah, basically what I do here, just on a much larger scale with an IBC tote now. Dragon Lair says, I bought a transfer water pump that doesn't have to be submerged for getting all the heavy multiple out. Gravity siphon won't get it all. Good. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oops. Wow, okay. Stephen P. 2003 Aquartics says, I made a glass box out of a picture frame glass to film fish up closely. The specimen containers scratch too easily. Oh yeah, well, that's a good idea. Yeah, specimen containers do scratch easy. I mean, they're made out of acrylic. If even that, it might not even be acrylic. It might just be polycarbonate. I think it is polycarbonate, in fact. Which would explain why, man, you even look at one cross-eyed, pow, they scratch, like instantly. Ah, cool. Patty's Petite Tank says, okay, that's what I use, net soak. Yep, net soak is good. It's not real powerful and it's not real weak. It's actually it's actually pretty strong, pure out of the jug, which is why they say pour some of it into water. Don't go crazy with it. It doesn't take a whole lot. Now, obviously, the stronger you mix it, the more quickly it's going to kill microorganisms. So if they say a capful per gallon is, I think, the instruction. So if you were to go 2 or 3 or maybe even 5 times that, I guarantee you that it's going to take pathogens out much faster. And that's what we do. We mix it up pretty strong, and we'll hit our little our goofy looking DIY PVC siphon thingy, shaped like the letter L. We'll hit that between every tank. Just 30 seconds. That's all it takes. It's gone. But you also end up eventually with purple PVC pipe because, yeah, net soak, definitely potassium permanganate will stain plastics for sure. It'll even turn specimen containers pink over time. When you look through them, they're clear. Well, they're still clear, but they're kind of rosé, like a nice calming rosé after after a while. Hey, Zen Ginger's in here. What's going on, Zen? Thanks for coming by. Appreciate that. Dropping links, being my mod. Very, very much appreciated. Any and all moderator activity that I can get, I will take, and I will thank you very heartily for. So another thing, and this is going to be obvious, okay? This is going to be obvious, but I wanted to touch on this. I almost tripped myself and died. Isn't that nice? So what I wanted to show you guys is something that I am a big fan of. Now, I use it in the aquafarm, and I'll use this as a shameless opportunity to show you guys what I have going on. Hopefully the audio stays good, because I'm behind this double wall of aquariums here full of water. One of these. Leaded plant weights. Now this, like I said, duh, it's super obvious, but I want to show you guys how I use it, and especially on what kind of plants I like to use them on. Let me hunker down here. There we go, crisscross applesauce style, in front of one of my 40 breeders. And I'll flip it around and I'll give you guys a few minutes of kind of soaking in some plants I got going, and then I'll start talking. This is Rotala sp. Wyanad. Rotala sp. Wyanad. This is a really, really great mid-ground plant because it'll get, you know, it'll get about five or so inches tall, and then that's about it. That's usually kind of where it stops, and it'll start kind of curving down a little bit. It tends to creep a bit, and the same is true of that plant back there. See these two little clusters? That is called Gradiola viscodula. Say that 5 times quick. Gradiola viscodula is a really good plant. It gets about maybe 4 inches or so tall each stem, and then that's about it. It'll kind of limit its height, just like this guy. This guy tends to limit his height by kind of curling down and starting to creep. This guy just stops. It just stops for the most part. And in case you're not familiar with this plant here, I'll give you guys a chance. See if you can guess what this is. This is definitely a foreground plant, guys. What do you think you're looking at here? Very, very common. It's not rare. We're talking about this plant right here. And these two. These two and these 6 or 8. It is a repens. Correct. Star repens, Zinginger, and S. S got it with repens, and Zinginger said Starogine repens. Correct. Correct. Yeah, this is a really, really nice plant. Very, very easy to grow, actually. It's not difficult at all. Now this guy. Let's look at one of my pretties, and you'll see, look, there's a leaded plant strip weight in there. You notice it's just easily visible. Easily visible. Well, this, when I'm starting plants, right? Got my CO2 rocking in there. Definitely rocking. When I'm starting these plants, especially these foreground plants, and this is definitely a foreground plant. This is definitely a foreground plant. Often when I start these, their roots are really, really, really short. In fact, they barely have roots. I mean, you can see roots are developing big time on this guy. What's going on, shrimp? Often what I'll do is I'll just basically lay the plant, take it out of its tissue culture vessel, which we've, you know, been growing it in. We'll take it out and we'll lay it down right on top of the soil just like this. And then we'll kind of slide. See that little lead weight? We'll kind of slide that lead weight in and just let it rest on top of, you know, the various branches, little bundles of roots, just like that one's doing. Just like this one and that one. In fact, all of these have little tiny lead weights on them. Now, a lot of people will get them and like wrap them around the stem of the plant and squeeze it and blah, blah, blah. Man, you don't have to do all that. You can if you want to, sure. If you'd like to, you can go crazy. You can make it as complex as you'd like. But quite literally, just setting, you know, just sitting the plant weight right on top of the cluster of plants and leaving it like that for about a week or two is absolutely going to get those roots spread all over down there, and you will have no problem keeping that plant planted. Same thing is true here. This is Alternanthera reynickii, the mini version. Stays very, very short. Pink and purple, really nice plant. Let's see if you guys can guess what these little bundles are. I pulled them out of their DIY tissue culture vessels last night or yesterday afternoon and plugged them in. You see this guy here in the middle? This guy. Let's see if you guys can tell me what that is. I'll see if I can zoom in. We'll wrap it up pretty soon after this here because we got stuff to do. It's definitely a stem plant, and it's definitely a foreground stem plant, specifically a foreground plant. Nope, it's not, but that's not a bad guess at all. They're a little difficult to take out because, like I say, these came out of Bacopa's a good choice too, but no, very good choice. I do have some of that I'm going to be starting today. This plant is Rotala bonsai. Rotala SP bonsai. So, hey, that's a good idea, Patrick. Using steel nuts or galvanized things that won't rust to hold down stems, that's not a bad idea. That's a good one. Guys, hope you caught that comment. No, this is Rotala bonsai. They're two large, well, not large, two smallish clusters that I pulled out of tissue culture. This plant, when you tissue culture it, if you ever start tissue culturing your own plant, this plant tends to kind of grow in this blob, and all the stems are like shooting in different directions, even some of them down. We're gonna have to practice with that a little bit and figure out how do we get more unidirectional formation of shoots on that. Anyway, here's another plant. Don't have any name down yet, but this is Pogostemon hellfry. Got a bunch of clusters of it in here growing. I think 8 or 10 of them. These were tissue cultured as well. And again, these are all held down with little teeny tiny pieces of lead. Not even a full piece, not even a full piece. Like we take it like that long, we cut it way down and just pinch it around some of the root that developed from stage 4, and we just drop it. Let's see if I can show you. It's a little piece, that's it. You don't even need a huge piece, just a little bit. Hold them right down, no problem. They start forming, will start forming roots like crazy. All right, let's see if I can get up now. That's another thing. I mean, it's like I said, it's gonna strike you guys as super obvious, but if you don't have a whole bunch of these little plant weights, then man, you might want to get some. They're super handy. While we're over here, I guess we can check out these plants. Very lovely plant, this Rotala macrandra Bangladesh. Despite the literature that's out there on it saying, oh, it's difficult, it's this, it's that, this is not a difficult plant to grow, guys. Not at all. I don't know who wrote that, but it is not difficult. I've grown it without CO2, no problem. As have I this one. And this is a highly sought after plant, this one here. The Rotala Bangladesh. Some people mistake it for parrot's feather. This is not parrot's feather. This is not Myriophyllum guyana. This is Rotala Bangladesh. It's not even from the right continent if you think it's from Guyana. Wrong. This is from Asia, South Asia. We're gonna wrap up here in just a second, guys. I gotta get the shot ready. We got some really nice macrandra going, guys. This stuff is doing great. Some nice pinks and purples coming off of it. The Mnophala aromatica from Vietnam. All right, thanks, John. Appreciate that. And finally, one of my favorites. Good old mini super red. Very nice plant. Stays really nice and small leaves. Eventually they turn a very deep red. Even the stems will eventually turn a really nice red. The higher the light, the higher the CO2, the more red you get, for sure. Hey, appreciate that, Trevor. We've definitely got more plants behind me going, but kind of not ready to show that just yet. I've got to have a few secrets. I can't spill all the beans. Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you coming by. It looks like we're going to end it a little, whoa, hey, yo. Sorry for the shaking, man. I am Mr. Butterfingers today. I'm like dropping everything. We're gonna go on ahead and end it a little bit early. After I go on ahead and scroll up through chat, I really wanna make sure that I'm not missing, you know, any kind comments, anything like that. I have a wet thumb, that's correct, Dragon Lair. Yes, I do have a wet thumb. I have wet everything. I appreciate you guys coming by. Let's see if I missed anything. Yeah, that comment from Patrick, Dragon Lair, our friend Dragon Lair. I also use those nuts to weigh down homemade sponge filters. Yeah, that's it. Using little tiny like the stainless steel, better be galvanized. I don't even think they make galvanized nuts. I think you got to go with steel, like stainless steel. But if you get some of those, as long as you get a good price on it, right now steel, good luck. Even getting steel. But if you can find some little stainless steel nuts and bolts and stuff like that, yeah, absolutely. You know, another thing that you can actually use, a lot of people don't know about this. You know these things, these plant strips, they're made out of lead, right? They're made out of lead. Don't put them in your mouth. Don't mess with lead, okay? You can hold it like that, that's fine. Wash your hands afterwards. Don't put your fingers in your mouth. Lead is very toxic. But let me tell you, you know where people originally got the lead strip idea from? Like, wait a minute, lead strips, we could use lead strips to hold down plants. Long time ago. Somebody got the idea of repurposing golf club weights. These have been around for a long time. So if you take one of these things, right, and you make one side of it adhesive, very adhesive, with a little peel-off plastic thing, like it comes lead on one side, and on the other side it looks like plastic. Well, that's because it is. You peel that little plastic film off, and it's really sticky, like fly paper sticky, super sticky, right? You attach these to the head of a golf club to add weight to your golf club. Now that is actually how people long time ago got the idea of, oh, wait a minute, why don't we just get somebody that, you know, some company that makes those golf club weights to sell us some without the adhesive on them. That's even quick. I mean, it should be easier for them to make that. They don't have to worry about the adhesive or that or the other thing. You see, the reason why I kind of wanted to tell you guys about that is that even industry is not always behind the often behind the 8 ball. Hey, we got a super chat here. A super sticker from Trevor Gregory. Thank you so much, Trevor. I really appreciate that, man. That's very, very kind of you. Much appreciated. I wanted to mention though that the golf club head weight to you to sort of underscore. Often, you know, just figuring out, finding something that kind of works and then changing it a little bit and then figuring out like, wow, this is a genius idea. This definitely saved me tons of time and effort. Often the best ideas just come out of people hacking stuff at home, like saying, wait a minute, why don't we just use those golf club weights over there, get them to not put adhesive on it, and we'll use them to weigh our plants down. Lead is super cheap, dude. It's already fashioned into a product. Just leave off the adhesive. Sometimes the best ideas come from those little flashes of accidental genius or lazy-induced genius, I guess. Laziness-induced genius. You could say that. You could say that, I think. Hey, Secret History, living in your aquarium is late, just in time for me to shut down the stream. Hey, Alex, I appreciate you coming by, buddy, but we're going to have to wrap up now. I got some stuff to do in the shop before we open the doors and see what today has in store for us. Guys, I really appreciate you coming by and hanging out with me. And another thank you to Trevor Gregory for the $2.99 super sticker. My name is Jason. You've been watching Redfish, Bluefish. And until next weekend, until next time, I say it every time. I try to never forget it. Look at that. We got a $4.99 super sticker from Laura Sutton. Thank you so much, Laura. It means so much to me. The support is much appreciated. I wish each and every one of you peace, love, and happy fish keeping. And we'll see you soon, right back here on FishTube. Take care, guys.